Been a while since you felt like this. Been a while since you felt like this. Been a while since you felt like this. There must be something wrong. I guess I felt.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 2024 ISU Junior Grand Prix Series. I'm your host, Ted Barton, along with my friend and colleague, Mark Hanratty. The Pairs Short program is coming up in just a few moments, but a comment on Worlds last year in Montreal in the Pairs event.
Yeah, history was made in the Pairs event at the World Championships last year with Deanna Stellato-Dudek and Maxime Deschamps winning the world title, and Deanna becoming the oldest ever world figure skating champion in 2024. And that makes it not just an amazing story, but also has paved the way for some interesting developments in the Pairs event in the junior category, because this year there's some different age criteria as well.
The Junior Short program in the Pairs event starts right now. Welcome, everyone, to Riga, Latvia. Week one on the Junior Grand Prix as we do a flyover and some beautiful shots here. What a wonderful city. As we look at the Volvo Sports Center, the host of this being the 8th, I believe, the 8th Junior Grand Prix that Riga has hosted. I'm Ted Bard along with Mark Hanratty.
And this arena, actually home to so many international events. They do a brilliant job at making sure that the Latvian skating community and indeed the figure skating community hosts some international competition, giving the skaters the chance to push themselves ever further. As
we take a look at the officials for this event, there are 10 teams. There'll be 3 groups. And look at the technical panel as well. The pair skating, we noticed a little bit earlier when we were watching some of the practices, that the pair event has been getting stronger. I mean, about 3 years ago was, it was challenge. It was a little weaker. We had the numbers, but not necessarily the quality, but they're getting better and better. There are more teams that are challenging for the top 5.
Yeah, and although there weren't studies or insights into exactly why, as we look at the starting order here for this event, that's exactly why that drop-off happened. There was a lot of speculation that perhaps COVID adversely most affected the pairs discipline.
That's right.
And that perhaps the reason that the standard had understandably dropped off. But based on what we saw in practices yesterday, the standard seems fairly significantly improved as a general across the different couples.
Yeah, we'll see what happens in competition, but certainly the practice sessions look like, okay, the lifts are more solid, the throws are better, there are more, triple throws. I think 2 years ago we saw a lot of doubles and a lot of simplicity in the technical elements, but they might have been teams that are just on the early development stage.
And in an attempt to further pursue and enhance the pairs participation, this year the changes in the age criteria that I alluded to in the opener, now if you're a male partner in a pairs team, you can compete in the junior category up to the age of 23. The 1st of July is the cutoff date for the age of an athlete in our sport. So a skater actually could be 23 years old and participate in this event, provided that their birthday is after that point. The only other change is that the difference in age between 2 partners cannot be more than 7 years. So you can't have...
And that's interesting. You need to tell the folks why that is.
I think it's an attempt to make sure that there's an equality within the partnership, because if you have, say, a 23-year-old male skating, well, I think it's probably more if you had a 13-year-old skating with a 20-year-old, there's such a discrepancy and difference in their life path at that point that would be perhaps not optimal for them to traveling the world with that age gap. But certainly it's great that they're opening up the opportunity for more pairs participation, because not the pairs discipline in itself we want to support as we do with all the other disciplines, and if somebody's entering into this discipline at a later stage in their skating development, then to be rushed into the senior ranks may be beyond comprehension.
Yeah. Now, we did a little segment on the difference between pair skating and ice dancing. Now that we have the pairs on the ice, why don't you tell the folks a little bit about what the difference is?
Well, and I think even though I was an ice dancer, I think my respect probably is greatest for the pair skaters of all the disciplines. Maybe it's because I didn't do it, so I don't understand it as well, but the physical feats and the risk and the daring athleticism of the pairs with the throw jumps, with the overhead lifts, and with the twist lift, just mesmeric.
The physicality is amazing. And we talked in this little sequence on the basics of skating that these pair elements take a significant more time to execute the element, therefore leaving a little less room for program development, perhaps in storytelling and whatnot, particularly in the junior stage.
And when you reference the physicality of the elements, that also plays into perhaps the discussion about the age for juniors, because physically the demands of the lifts maybe need a later maturation rate, and so thus skaters can now compete juniors into their 20s because they have had more time then to acclimatize to the body that's strong enough for some of these elements.
So we see right here, so just going into the triple just opens up in the double for Jasmine and Kieran from Canada.
So entertaining for me last year, seeing that team so wonderfully expressive, but also interesting to hear about Jasmine, who had been, I understand, a can skate skater.
A star skater, which is sort of more recreational in our system. Yeah, and then moving into competitive skating.
And it seemed like she had so quickly been snapped into this very different realm of competitive skating.
And made the Junior Grand Prix final. First year.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah.
And then, because I was raving about what she had achieved, I was learning then that her partner was a very, very accomplished ice hockey player. And thus, he had to make the decision as to which ice sport he would choose.
Well done on the ice hockey.
I got nervous
reference.
when I...
Did I say that right? Yeah, he was really good in the junior leagues, I guess. He's a big boy and a lot of power. And it's interesting why, a hockey player would take an interest in skating, because it's an individual sport, but there's something special about that. I mean, although pair skating's not so much individual, but you don't have 10 people on the ice, right? But, I so admire the women and the men in this discipline, because it's really different responsibilities than ice dance and single skating, although some of the same skills are used, right? The partnership and the relationship is different. These elements, again, as I said, cover clearly the whole ice surface. They're risky. They have an element of danger to it. And then how do you mix in performance? That usually comes at the very end of your career in senior, if you get it at all.
And that's the ultimate goal and ambition. And it's not often that we get that level of development in a pair team where we are moved emotionally. But if you think of maybe the Jamie Sally, David Paletti love story, or we think of anything from Gordieva Grinkov, or Sui Han, Xu Zhen and Hongbo Zhao, some examples of pair skaters that have
did it all.
Exactly.
Here we go. Pair short program, day 1, event number 2 here in Riga. Now I'm starting to lose my voice, so you say, who is that guy speaking?
With a raspy
voice, yeah. Here we go. Our first team represents France, Louise Erhard and Mathis Pellegrini. 19 and 20 years old. This is their 3rd Junior Grand Prix season, 4th and 5th last season of the Junior Grand Prix. They're ranked 4th in the senior category in France, and they'll skate to rise like a phoenix. 50.75 personal best.
Great to see Louise Erhard and Matti Pellegrini, a team that have had so many challenges in their short time as a partnership. He had surgery last June, which hampered the preparations for last season. And they finally started to peak by the Junior World Championships. Their PB comes from the Junior World Championship short program, and then she suffered a concussion in practice and they had to withdraw from the free skate. So good to see them skate here and seem happy with this, their first outing on the Junior Grand Prix this year.
And they're really quite good. I mean, they have some really nice lifts. They throw the triple twist. I mean, some things to work on for sure, but this is a very strong team, and we're going to see them probably at the top, at the end, and maybe even in the Junior Grand Prix final. We'll find out. But, you know, a solid start here. We take a look at opening of the program. And here's the twist. There's the pick. Not really a split up in that, and that comes in at a level 1, so only one of the 4 features in there. Here's the double axles. This is pretty well done. Gets the free leg back just in time. There's the throw triple salchow, foot down on the landing. That'll be a GOE, a quality reduction. There's the hand-to-hand group 4 lift, one arm. That is in at a level 3. So again, getting 3 out of the 4 features. And nice job, Mark.
Yeah, and as we've spoken about the differences between the disciplines, great to see them smiling and the kiss and cry. We touched on perhaps the musicality, and we've seen some amazing physicality in what the pairs team do, and Louise and Mattis celebrate that in their short program. But the Conchita verse music, Rise Like a Phoenix, which is so phenomenal, the lift didn't go up in the crescendo in the music. Yeah. There's not that same focus as there is perhaps in some of the other disciplines in that a later stage of development.
They seem to look pretty pleased with this stage of where they're at after all the difficulties. 46.28 for Louise and Mattis, first team out in the para short program. That's nice to see. Yeah, they're happy where they're at the moment.
Yeah,
that's great. Well, there is our next team coming from Canada. Jasmine DeRoche, 18. Karen Thrasher, 20 years old. This is their second year as a team. Last season, they took the two bronze medals on the Junior Grand Prix and another in the Junior Grand Prix final. Coached by Bruno Marcotte, choreographed by Julie Marcotte. They'll skate to Emily.
Jasmine Desrochers and Kieran Thrasher, the second team to compete in the Junior Grand Prix Pairs short program.
And as we mentioned in the warm, Jasmine not a competitive skater for very long. Also, this is a relatively new team. Well, last year, and so much success. So how do they follow that up in year number 2, where they could have to continue to grow? Well, now you're seeing the throw triple, which they really didn't do last year. Triple twist, really solid. It's in at level 4 right now.
Amazing.
So that is amazing. The lift's beautiful as well. So they've got a lot of great skill. Plus, they're such a good-looking team.
Oh, yeah.
I think when they get into seniors and they can tell the story a bit better, you're going to merge those two worlds of PCs and technical.
It's interesting because we've already spoken about those that perform in the pairs discipline and that really being quite incredible given the athleticism of what they do. This team, I think, has the potential to really move people. And I remember, I think this is the same music they used last year. I remember the emotional connection they had just with one another and the audience.
There's the split. The hands above the head of the landing, no touch. In at a level 4. That's awesome. With a plus UE as well. Here's the double axels. A little bit more challenging here for Jasmine. Watch it. Let's see. She touches down with her right hand.
But the trajectory of the jump looks longer. Looks like the technique has
It's
obviously
better.
been developed.
Yeah, no question. And their coach here, Jeff Langdon, who works with Bruno, of course, a world team member in Canada a number of years ago, so he has the single background a lot, working with the teams. As to others, here's the toe triple Salchow. Hangs on kind of to that landing. A little over rotation. Didn't check out early enough. I show this because I want to show the toes are not pointed. They're not matched. The free legs, those are small details that need to improve to, be at the very top in junior and move into senior. Those small little details that aren't so small.
Yeah.
Especially when you slow it down.
And interesting is as Jeff gives them their feedback in the kiss and cry, thank you for making the shape hearts. They've chosen to keep the same program, but that's freed them up to work and focus on the technical element score.
Exactly. 55.41 for Jasmine and Kieran, and that'll put them currently into first place after 2 teams.
Just acknowledging 55 points. That's what they had last year too.
Our next team represents Spain. Claudia Sinclair Scotti and Noah Caseta Grau. 16 and 17 years of age. And they'll skate to music from Gladiator.
Claudia Sinclair Scotti and Noa Quesada Grau from Spain. And I really enjoyed their commitment and their passion, and interesting to note that they have the same coaches as Sara Conti and Niccolo Macci, the 2023 European champions. And maybe it's because I knew this information or not, but if I hadn't, I wouldn't be surprised to see the influence that team must have upon them, because you could see some of that stylistic choice, and that'll be their coaches too.
Yeah, and I think the program is a little bit simpler than what we saw from the other team, but the quality of everything was just, and this is perfect strategy at this stage. Keep it more simple with better quality. Add the difficulty as the basics are there. We're going to take a look at some of these elements. They're really well done. Great posture, good leg extensions, toe. Point out, here's just the opening.
That's so cool.
Yeah, very cool opening program. There's the twist, great split. Comes in just a double twist, but great quality in a level 3. So just missing one feature off that, but still overall.
But that transition out was cool.
Yeah, super. Double flips, no problem. Nice and tight and close. Good extensions in the landing. Here's the throw. Double sock out. But the basics, the mechanics are there for the triple. When it's ready, it'll be a beauty. There's a group 4 lift, hand to hand. Covering about half the ice, and of course that around the end of the rink as well. That's into the level 4. So all 4 features accomplished there.
Here's some of that passionate commitment.
Yeah, and they skate pretty close together, and in relatively good unison at this stage. Good deep edge there.
Love that. We've spoken at length already about some of the age criteria for pairs in the junior category this year, whereby they're opening up longer participation such that skaters of an older age can still compete in juniors. This team just 16 and 17 years old, so relatively very young in the discipline, with lots of years ahead to continue to develop.
Yeah, and the quality of everything they do is at a really high level, even if it's just the doubles at the moment. So they are well positioned for a very successful senior career as they gain experience.
And the team who just teamed up last year, this their first Junior Grand Prix.
Nice job.
Their coach, Barbara Leone.
In similar styles, which really helps this team. Let's take a look at the scores. 37.94 for Claudia and Noah. That'll put them currently into 3rd place. Okay. Oh, wow. It's unlike the women's, okay, we have 3 teams on the ice. Okay, let's get to some of those questions you got there, Mark.
Yes. Okay. So, question coming in to the International Skating Union's Instagram story post, for which we are very grateful for all of the questions posted. One from @AdamR6700. What advice would you give to skaters who hope to get to the Junior Grand Prix?
Take it in, because you don't know. I mean, I know this is really simple. This is not a technical advice. What this is a lifetime, an opportunity in a lifetime to experience and meet other people around the world. I know it's so cliche to say that, but it's innocence. They have the innocence here, have the enjoyment. Test yourself. There's nothing to lose here. It's not like you're trying to qualify for something else, right? So, go out and do the very best you can, and be proud of where you're at, even if you don't have the same skills as some of the top teams do, or single skaters or whatever. Just take this all in, enjoy the moment, and then want more.
Being at peace with where you're at. And in regards to those that are hoping to get here, I think for those that aspire to be at this level, then really researching and studying and using this streaming service to self-educate. So often the skaters are reliant, of course, upon their coaches, but now I always think that skaters now, I don't like my children to be on a screen and on a device, but now every young child, it seems, or not every young child, many children have access to smart devices, whereby it's not good for them necessarily, but if they can exploit that for their education, and if that's skating viewing to research and help serve their progression, then do it.
Well, absolutely. I completely agree. One of the great things about these streams is that you now can watch skaters in your discipline from around the world and say, oh, okay, well, now that you know how far away you are from whatever, right? And it may give you confidence, or it may say, I need to get work
Yeah.
more. But you should be watching a lot of skating at this level to understand where your goal is.
As much as possible.
Yeah.
Funny question coming in from @PotteryPole. A question for you both. Which joint name do you prefer, Med or Tark, or whichever you suggest?
Tark.
Tark.
That sounds like something out of Star Trek.
Yeah.
Tark.
Team
You know,
Tark.
so big- Team Tark.
Maybe that's the next
Yeah.
ISU
No, I like Tark.
answers. Tark, we're going to go for Tark.
We're going for Tark.
Any additions to Tark or developments in Tark, the International Skating Union social media team will welcome all options.
Yeah. This is brought to you by Tark.
One question coming in from @Evelina.Barsamova. How long do they commentate?
How long do we commentate?
Yes.
Oh, this is hard. Well, today is 12 hours, I believe.
Literally
and I think
12 hours.
tomorrow's 12 hours as well.
I actually think, if not longer.
Really? Yeah, it's the women's free program. But could be 13 hours tomorrow. They're really long, but, you know, when you find, even when you're tired, if you're with people that, and if you're doing something that you love and you're with people that you connect with and communicate, and Mark and I do very well in that area, it goes a lot, you know, a lot faster and enjoy it. And we love the sport, and we want to help. We really want to help the sport. We want to help and support the athletes. And be honest, when you know they're tough skates and whatnot. So when you love what you do, and you're in something you've done all your life, 13 hours is still 13 hours. I have to admit, but still, you get through it because you love it.
Yeah, and I think because we're lucky enough to still know a lot of the humans that are involved, and if we don't know the skaters, we know perhaps the team that's behind them.
Yeah.
And so then that helps. If you're tired, you care. You care for the sport, and so that kind of ignites the fuel to keep the energy levels.
I'd like to have a stand-up desk. Like, you know, we got to sit down, and we never get really comfy chairs.
Oh.
So stand-up decks would be good, but I don't think all this equipment would
I'm
work.
looking around the room and I'm thinking, how do we make that happen?
Boxes. Boxes, cardboard boxes. Okay, what's up next?
Next question coming in from @WomenWithMadness, which is an interesting handle.
A little worried about reading this one.
So what are your favorite skating war horses, the frequently used music?
Favorite war horses? Well, you know what? I know this is so... you know, I just love the music of Pirates of the Caribbean. I just do. And I'll never forget the performance. I think it's by Tutamacheva in France, I think it was. And she was really quite young at the World Championships, and she just did the Pirate Ladies. Just amazing. I was blown away by it. I just love that music, but it's been overdone.
Fair. I think, I mean, I love your classics like Carmen and Malaguena, because it's good music.
Oh, yeah.
It is overdone, but it's overdone for a reason because it's such good music.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
now I love to hear some of the war horses, but remix. I think it's always interesting now because the skaters have access to some really great music editors that can
that change it up a little bit. So what's the background to the word warhorse?
I'm not quite sure, but I've heard it used a few times.
But you're repeating it like you know what it is.
Well, I've
right?
seen a few people out. I think we were asked that question last year.
No, it's true. It's a warhorse. I think refers. It's an older term that refers to something that's used a lot. Obviously, that's what we're talking about, right? But I don't know why. Oh, maybe a warhorse is ridden a lot. I don't know. I don't get it.
So
Somebody will tell us. Somebody will tell us. Yeah.
What was your favorite? So sorry. From @M10_FR. What was your favorite jump as a skater?
Lots.
Yeah.
I could just fly off that back outside edge. I don't know why. Just bent that knee and it just accelerated on the takeoff. Could fly through it. I love it. Yeah.
I actually think mine was probably the same, although I would have to say my favorite jump could probably change with each passing session, depending on how successful they were at the time.
Little erratic, were you?
Yeah. Oh gosh.
Well, we're going to see your single Lutz and the basics of skating. Okay, here we go. Group number 2 of 3. Good start. Really good start. And, promising to see these pair skaters because no one is out of place here. They're all in place. I mean, at different levels, perhaps. But we'll take a look at the next team representing the United States. Olivia Flores and Luke Wang, 17 and 20 years of age. This is their second Junior Grand Prix season. They are the United States Junior Champions. They finished on a high last season, silver medal at the World Junior Championships. 62.33, their personal best at Junior Worlds, skating to Golden Slumbers and carry that weight. Okay, Mark, I have a question for you. What does this team possess that we haven't actually seen in juniors for quite a while?
I think there's so many facets that are really quite exciting about the team. The emotional commitment that they give, and they're quite different, it seems, in their portrayal and in their expression as individuals. I feel like Olivia has almost an innocence in her portrayal, Luke a little bit more intense in his, but both exuding performance ability, and it's exciting to see how that will develop.
To a higher degree than we normally see in juniors. So
absolutely.
Just looking right off the top here, look at his focus, and there's some emotion in just that movement right there by Olivia. And the patience to take the time. There's the split, not kind of a rough catch, so it's just a level 3. Get the 4. Here's the throw, triple salchow. This was a beauty. Opens up right on a little bit forward, but opened up just wonderfully in the air. Double axels, good ice coverage.
And actually, it's interesting because we see this lift position from Olivia on the promo for this year's Junior Grand Prix, but actually having seen it already from last year and then the comparison with this, the position is better, the shoulder blades are pulled down a little bit more, position better. They'll be hoping for more rotation on the mandatory back outside edge death spiral as the season progresses.
Yeah, and it had a couple little glitches here and there. There's personal best 62.33. They may not reach that score here, but still very solid. You can understand why they were world silver medalists, junior world silver medalists last season.
And I love, last year they commented on their live, laugh, look motto. Obviously Olivia known as live, laugh, look. Oh. And I saw on their social media they even had t-shirts made for their travel here to Riga with their motto on it.
Oh wow. Let's take a look at the score. It's a 54.38. Nods of approval with that. That'll put them currently into second place. But very close to Jasmine and Kieran. Our next team represents France. 14-year-old Romain Talamac and 18-year-old Luca Cola. 46.58, their personal best, earning that at the Junior World Championships last year. They'll skate to Fever and Jailhouse Rock by Elvis Presley.
Romain Telemac and Lucas Coulon, her mother and coach, had explained to me how hard they have worked in the summer for this, and to me that was really evident. There are obviously areas for improvement, but the preparation, even down to their bow.
Well, it was more coordinated. You know, everything was more together, I would say. And as you mentioned, lots of work yet still to be done, but that is the basics you need to be on the same page, you know, same styles and all that. And we saw more solid foundation with this team.
And their coach Louis Taron said they wanted to show more maturity than last year and improve their connection and their dance moves in this short program.
There's the double twist in a level 3, the throw triple Salchow. Beautiful, wonderful distance in the air, great speed on the landing. And a little bit simpler elements, but still well done, building that foundation and confidence to start into the more difficult elements in time. Group 4 lift, this is in at level 3, so you see one feature, change of position, change of hand hold, grab the blade up by her.
For me, Ted, I think as we look at the side-by-side spin, which had good unison at this point, I think their presentation and composition has improved. I think it's still the skating skills, their amount, the depth of their knees and ankles for more flow and more glide, which is still the hook for which all of their components will push higher from.
It doesn't matter what discipline it is, whether it's synchro, pairs, dance. If you don't have the skating skill basics, which takes thousands of hours, you think, oh, I'm doing it. Well, no, yeah, you've done it, but not well.
Yeah.
And it takes a long time. And if this team starts to improve those skating skills as well, it's like, watch out. Everything just so smooth, seamless.
And that's that fundamental, skating skills class, the edge class, the day-to-day grind of working their stroking, which will, over, as you say, hours and hours of time, pay dividends in the scores.
And there is a look at the scores, 46.58, and that will put this team currently into 3rd place.
That's the exact same score they had at World Juniors.
Oh, wow.
And now to the team from Great Britain, Niamh Davison and Daniel Borisov. He started pairs skating just 5 months ago.
Whoa.
Amazing. Niamh Davison and Daniel Borisov from Great Britain.
Well, you know, Mark, I mean, clearly, and you said 5 months this young man has been doing Paris. That is a very, very short period of time. And you can see where they're at their development stage. They've got lots of work to do, no question. Forget about the mistakes for a second. Just, the speed of the turns and the lifts, things like that. That's okay, because where they're at after 5 months, pretty remarkable.
Absolutely, and I think Daniel was explaining that he was obviously a single skater and he had perhaps more of a natural predisposition to this discipline, but only took the decision to make that 5 months ago. They have been incredibly fortunate to find one another, not just because they're both physically a perfect match, but also because they both rotate in the clockwise direction, which is rarer. And so the fact that they have found each other, and the fact that they make such a physical good match as well as rotating the same way,
it's only a matter of time and experience. And you can see the mechanics of the takeoff on most of the elements are fine. The finding the ending or the execution of the elements, that is not there yet, for sure. This, you can see the turns here, scratchy on the toe picks and slowing down and things like that. That's not a criticism, it's just an analysis of where they're at this moment.
And given that they only teamed up 5 months ago, the fact that they, like I say, found each other is brilliant, but with 5 months to go into the season, then they will not have had the time to work on just their stylistic match, their fundamental match. And so this team, I suspect, hopefully we'll see them again next season, and they'll continue to stay together for many more years to come, because when they've got time, I think they could be good.
And as you mentioned before, just being in this environment, watching the other teams, they will know what they have to do. They won't even need to know that from the coach.
No.
They're going to say, oh, well, these guys skate faster, they do this, they're smoother, whatever. They'll figure that out. Just being around those athletes.
And they're totally committed. They competed last week at a domestic event in Sheffield in the UK. They've come to Riga. They're going to the John Nicks Memorial in New York after this. So the team and their families behind them are being really supportive to help give them the education to do well. And at least we can corroborate that they've got a good talent pool. They've got the potential to justify that.
Competitions such as this and going to New York and whatnot is school. You only learn you can learn the skills in practice rate, but if you don't apply them in competition, it's not the same thing. You're skating to compete, so you have to be in competition, and they're doing that right now, and they're learning very well. We'll see a different team at the end of the season, I'm sure. Even
things like Daniel explained that he hadn't been into Europe before this event. Like, there's so many facets.
Whoa, back up here. He lives in England? And he hasn't.
No, they train in the States.
Oh, they train in the States. Okay, that's fine.
And so he hadn't been over to Europe, and then last week they were in Sheffield.
Okay.
And now here, obviously, in Riga. So there's so many, gosh, in terms of exponential life experiences. He's
when you said he wasn't in Europe, I'm going,
what?
Just waiting for the scores to come in. You can hear the Zamboni in the back getting ready. Get that video sheet ready there, Mark.
Thank you. And Niamh had explained that the short program that they've just performed matches her style, and you can see she's such a wonderful performer, so engaging, facially and expressive. And they explained that the free program perhaps matches Daniel's style a little bit more, and so we look forward to seeing that. They need to do the shape hearts. They're taking a selfie, but you've got to do the shape hearts.
They got the victory scene. The victory sign, Did you not send them the memo?
I think there's... Oh, she's going to do a shape... Oh, no. Yes. Come on, Niamh. No. Okay.
Yeah.
We'll have a word with her after.
They didn't get your memo.
But they come to this event with their training mates from the States, the second American pair team to compete here. They train with as well. So we'll see their coach, Trudy, again in the kiss and cry in the next group, and that, I'm sure, a great comfort to them in the midst of this really new experience for them as a team. To have some familiarity and comfort with friends and training mates at the event is going to be massive too.
And they might be having a little glitch on, as we did with the women's, the processing of the scores. Out of those 7 elements, 5 of them were under review. That is now complete. They had 2 falls, so they an automatic -2. 1 point for each fall. They're happy though.
Yeah, I love that. I love the fact that there's an awareness of it's just a performance, but it's not defining. It's not. This isn't their Olympic Games. This isn't the end of your journey.
And they're enjoying the camaraderie and the friendship and the journey all together.
And I ended up on the same bus, in fact, actually same flight as them from the UK over to Riga and Latvia, and they just seemed like a really happy team. And there, I love that too, an acknowledgement of the coach and the support that the coach has given.
No, that's lovely. So, Mark, talk to me about why the judges don't have the scores. No, they do actually have them in. They're just getting them. I think there's some sort of difficulty in getting them to the screen.
And that's why we're so treated by the fact that this is a positive team in the Kiss and Cry, being sustained for a long period.
Exactly. But one of the problems is this is like one of our few breaks. Ned Zamboni's getting really close to finishing.
So if you don't hear us at the beginning of the next warm-up group, you know that we didn't make it to the toilet in time. It was interesting. A year ago, Niamh, we did see Niamh compete in the Junior Grand Prix last year with a previous partner, and then that partnership terminated. And then I saw Niamh's mum and dad at the airport when I was going on holiday, and I said, "Oh, no, now Niamh's not competing. You guys can go on holiday and you can have spend money on yourselves now." No, she's back in the mix.
Yeah,
she's, but such is the support of a parent that they don't question it.
What would you rather do? I mean, you'd rather do a trip to somewhere you'd like to go, or see your children happy doing something that's physical and challenging, and all the skills that come along with that, all the learning that comes along with that.
And representing the nation at an international event.
Yeah, what an honor. Even if it is Great Britain.
Shots fired.
Yeah, exactly. Across the bow. Oh, she's going to check out the scores. What's going on here?
Come on. In fact, she might need to go and check on her next team because they're going to be on the ice any minute.
That's true, yeah.
And so Niamh has she's relocated her entire life, supported by her family, to train in America with Daniel and Trudy. And that kind of story, we hear that often. And in the formation of a pair team or an ice dance team, one part of that team will have to make a huge...
Well, and also if you have the resources and you have that certain time in life, which is not a long time, to chase the dream and to maximize, you do it. And parents will do that for their kids, right?
Oh, gosh.
Okay, you better get to questions here because we're running out of content.
Thinking we're going to be running straight into the next group.
Yeah.
So you and I have had a question coming in on the International Skating Union social media channel as to what our favorite figure skating event was while we were still competing.
Oh my God, mine is so long ago that I think, there were no doors. They were just caves that were carved. So it's really hard to... that we competed in? That we participated in? Well, for me, it would have been the World Championships. No, I guess maybe Oberstdorf. Mm-hmm, I actually ended up winning Oberstdorf, but I didn't know it. I'm eating schnitzel up in the restaurant. Somebody came up to me and said, "Get your skates on." I said, "What for?" Finish. I don't know. I was like, I thought I was third or fourth or whatever. I said, "Because you won." And in my mind's going, "No, finish the schnitzel." Yeah, that was it. Oberstdorf is iconic in the world of skating. So I think anytime you go to Oberstdorf, it's great. Here's the scores. 28.21 for Niamh and Danielle, and that'll put them currently in the 6th place at the moment. Okay, we're going to take a very, very short break. I don't know if we've got time to go to the videos. Don't worry about that. If they play it, they play it. If not, we'll be back in just a few moments. Stay with us.
And the note card I happened to pick was, what would you do if you knew you couldn't fail? And I just immediately blurted out, oh, I would win an Olympic gold medal. My name is Deanna Stellato-Dudek, and I am a pair skater for Canada.
The reason Deanna is so special is actually her fire, her dedication, and for her, it's Olympic every day.
I think what attracted me to figure skating in the first place was the freedom that you feel when you have the wind in your face and you're skating around the rink, and also the artistic expression, what you can do with your arms and feet while you're gliding. It's difficult to describe. It's unlike any other feeling that you can get in shoes.
Deanna Stellato. She is 16 years old and perhaps the most focused of all the skaters here, the last one off the practice ice.
When I was 17 years old, I sustained a hip injury that was very common at the time. It eventually ended my childhood career, my 1.0 career.
She retired and then never come back in skating for 16 years. She didn't think about skating.
I think retiring at 17 was very difficult. You're too young to really deal with the severeness of that decision and how it's going to affect your life. I had a normal job in the States. I worked for a plastic surgeon in a small private practice, and we were at a work retreat, and we were just doing a fun little exercise over lunch where we all picked up a note card and said, read the question out loud, and then everybody around the table would answer it. And the note card I happened to pick was, what would you do if you knew you couldn't fail? And I just immediately blurted out, oh, I would win an Olympic gold medal. And then I kind of sat back in my chair and I was like, whoa. What? As everybody else was answering, I was like, what did I just say? I haven't skated in like 16 or 17 years. Like, that was a random answer. That was the catalyst that began this entire thing. So I guess I'm super lucky my mom kept those skates for all that time. I went for a first public sessions. I would get up at 4 in the morning to go skate in the morning before going to work my full-time job. And if I had a day at work that was like a 12-hour day and it was impossible for me to get on the ice, I would just make sure that evening I would do like a workout tape or I would stretch, but I would do something toward my dream every day, and I never broke the chain for 3 months.
Her dedication to the sport, to do what she do at the age she is unbelievable. She have to do so much more than other people to be able to do it. We train as much as the other younger skater, but on top of it, she have to do way more back home. She have to recover 2-3 hours a day so she can be ready for the next day. If not, it's not gonna happen. We knew the pressure would be super high being here at home, where I'm born, where we train.
When I got on the ice, I just heard the roar of the crowd and like, okay, let's breathe, we can do this. That pressure is motivation and motivation is pressure, and it's a thin line that separates them. When we got out there, I just looked at him and I said, we got this.
The crowd was so supportive, and it's give myself and Deanna goosebumps as we were skating. It was something we'll remember for the rest of our life.
Winning here in Montreal was our dream. For sure, this was our dream. I just got really emotional and said, well, I fought and I gave it everything I could. And kind of one of those fairy tale stories that it still hasn't sunk in that I'm living yet. All that hard work, all those late nights, early mornings, all that pain, man, was it worth it in the end. If you can set aside some time every day and just do a little bit, you can potentially create a life for yourself beyond your wildest dreams.
Huh?
Are you mic'd up, Laura?
No.
Uh-oh.
You're still safe. No, I am mic'd up. You can say hi to our friends. Don't say it now. You're now being recorded. 11:47.
No, one more minute.
1 minute. Don't do it yet. I would always love to watch skaters on TV, and then I would always turn it on in the locker room at Worlds and stuff on Eurosport, and they would just turn it off, and I would keep turning it. Did I tell you that yet? Do you like watching?
Sort of. Yeah. Sort of.
A little bit, and then just stop and focus. I'll have to go down and tell Thomas that it's not 6 minutes warm-up, correct his grammar. And then the click hops with Czech. Yeah, thank you. I love yours too. Yeah. And then every time you hold the landing position, breathe out, relax, reset. You can do that. And keep attacking, enjoy it. Free of concern, that's it. Yeah.
A little bit of reckless abandon.
Just in a controlled way, I love it. And do a beautiful landing position. Point, 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 finish it up. Make sure it's more than 8, 9, 10. So count to 30. No, I was just watching you in practice and I was like, that's a man who loves his job.
Yeah, I know, I get a little
Or-
into it when they skate though, I kind of move.
A little bit? I still sometimes have more faith in my students skating than my own. I don't know if that's a good thing or not. Breathe out, relax after your elements. Good. I'll see you down there. It was funny when the little kids were plugging the holes in the middle of the rink. And like, I don't think people do lutzes and flips there. Now it's perfect. And confident.
Yeah.
And a sassy person.
Sassy buddy.
Exactly. But fight. Sassy person. That was a good save. Keeping it PG. Light crawl up. You got it. Good. He held it. You did more than 6 on the count.
Amazing. Thank you. Thank you.
Nice performance. Great save on the flying set, actually.
Yes.
Oh, this way? Come on.
Oh, so close to 70.
That's good. It's a personal
Yeah,
best.
that is a personal best.
You know what it is? This is way too high. Right? Like, I look like a toddler sitting here.
Welcome back, everyone, to Riga, the final group in the pair short program. As we take a look at the start order for this group. Mark, we have any more questions coming in from the audience?
Yes, we do indeed. Thank you to those sending us in questions on the International Skating News.
And
social
we've
media.
needed that today with the slow scoring
Oh my
system.
goodness, yes.
I mean, it's called filling air.
Yeah, we are very grateful. So thank you to @MarcusKND for the question, is there a way to start figure skating when there isn't access to an all year round rink in the near vicinity?
Is there a way to start figure skating if there's no access to, no access to any rink?
I suspect, or perhaps in a year round rink facilities, or potentially they've got access part of the year to a rink. I think what was interesting when COVID happened and we were all forced to stay outside of, or not able to access the rinks, that time I noticed there was a huge upsurge in the acquisition of the inline blades, K-Pick or Pickskate, I think, and they're really quite good. They really are quite good, provided you can find a smooth enough surface outside, because they carry the most correlation to what you'd feel on the ice. Nothing will quite simulate what the glide is like on the ice.
But, and also you can do things like, you use the ice when you have it, but, our creative development off ice with music and choreography in a gym, okay? Even though that's not necessarily translated to gliding across the ice, it is translated into body movement. And those are things that you can continue to do so that when you do get on the ice and get your balance back, you can apply some of those things you may have learned off the ice. So, you have to, like we have to do in life, when things are taken away, we have to get creative to fill that void. And, we, in Canada during COVID, we used a lot of the rinks, a lot of virtual competitions where people would judge from around the world, because technology allows you to do that. So you just get creative with things. We have music, we have movement, choreography, emotion, all those things that can be done a little bit off ice. And when you get on ice, be very efficient with the time that you've got. So.
And I suppose for these athletes as well, that of course, obviously they're fortunate enough to skate, we assume for most of them, multiple times per week, but even at this level, they will be doing ballet class or Pilates, other options that any aspiring skater could do to facilitate them being a better skater whenever they do have access.
And try to find out what muscle groups are required for each one of the elements, and then begin to work on that particular muscle group. If you build yourself up with muscle groups that don't apply to the elements that we use in the sport, then although you might be really strong and really fit, and you're just really proud of it, but you're not going very high in the jumps.
Productive.
Yeah, exactly, right. So,
interesting question. I have a good answer to the question, but
okay, give us the answer, then tell us the question. Okay, let's go.
So from Dammit Spansch on Instagram, can I get away for speed skating for my future? Now, I don't know the person that's posed this question what their skating experience is like, but certainly there was a world record speed skater called Elise Christie from Great Britain who used to train. When I trained singles, she did single skating with me and my coach, and she was jumping triple salchows and then swapped disciplines and then went on to become one of the world's best speed skaters. So there is a cross correlation.
Oh, totally. We actually have a number of speed skaters that started as figure skaters because their body build was actually better for speed skating. Their skill on the ice was, I don't want to say equal in both figure skating and speed skating, but the power was there. The understanding between the blade and the ice is there. So yeah, no, totally. You can switch those. You can switch from figure to speed probably easier than speed to figure.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting. I was learning about different sports and the crossing over or cross training between different sports, as we see the American team chatting with Coach Trudy ringside. And I'd read that gymnastics is one of the best sports for crossing into any other. And I think figure skating also has similarities insofar as there's so much body awareness of the entire body, in addition to agility and flexibility that is more honed than so many other sports. So we can carry that and transfer that into so many other sports.
Okay, hopefully that answered your questions, or sometimes we go way off.
I know, and I think, what was the question
in the left field, and you're going, this person's really disappointed with us.
Another question that's come in from @de Lulu Genevieve. The question is, how do you do an axel jump? And the answer to that isn't one that can be articulated in a short answer.
But in the figure skating basics, of which the ice dancer with the short blades, Mark Hanratty, does the axel, we do talk about that. So maybe you'll get some pointers on that.
It's funny when we're asked about what was our favorite jump. I never landed a clean triple axel, but I used to love working on it before I was injured and had to stop jumping it. But I feel like I've got to acknowledge the fact that at one point in time I was working a triple axel, because when you see this squeaky little pitiful single axel,
well,
just
I
trust
mean,
me.
Let's talk about the numbers in your life. You're still a young buck compared to me. But
well, the problem is Deanna Stellato-Dudek has
yeah,
ruined my chance to use age as an excuse.
Yeah, it's true. You're going, yeah, come on, you wimp.
Yeah.
You're just doing a single axle. Let's go. Yeah. Okay, it looks like we're going to be winding up this warm-up of the final group in the pair short program. After this, of course, the men will take to the ice as we close out day number 1 Of course, I'm jumping ahead too far as we close out day one, as we will close out day one.
Which, in turn, with one event left to go, that opens the forum for us to request more questions.
Yes,
should you wish
please.
to hear us
Hey,
ramble.
these are really actually very good questions, so we're really enjoying it. Here we go. And they are ready to go. Our next team represents the Czech Republic. Deborah Ann Cohen and Luka Voch-Scott. This is the second Junior Grand Prix season with a 9th and 6th place finish last year in the Junior Grand Prix. They're 8th at Junior Worlds. A good result. Looking to improve that this season. 46.78, their personal best at Junior Worlds. Skating to work and still don't know my name. Mount Everest.
Difficult finish position to the program for Deborah Anna Cohen and Lukas Voch-Scott from the Czech Republic, and there were some interesting moments within it. There were some good holds and transitions within it.
I like the choreography and the attempt of that program. Didn't execute it necessarily well. I think Deborah had some challenges with balance throughout the program, but overall it's a good vehicle and will only get better.
Yes, absolutely. And Deborah hasn't been doing pairs for that long, just a little over a year now. Lukas much longer. And she also acknowledged to me that they couldn't train for over a month in the off-season because she was unwell. But they've worked hard since they returned to the ice and on their new elements and the new programs which they love. And you can tell that there is a love for what they're doing in the music.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. There's a great effort there. Let's take a look at some of these elements. There's the twist. That is in at a level 2 for that triple twist. And the throw, triple Saka, good rotation in the air, but just too slow on the checkout. You're rotating so fast, you've got to punch that free leg back. Again, a little bit of a shaking there.
And you just sense, like, on the landing of that double axel, just legs that, maybe nervous legs, which would be entirely understandable, but just legs that didn't have the assurity and conviction she wanted.
Losing a month of training at this stage of development has a huge effect.
That was great. The difficult fly into the flying camel.
And this is just at the end of the program right here.
Nope. Just a little too far forward.
Yeah. But I really like what they were trying to create here. But, you know, first Junior Grand Prix event this season, it's not going to be in top shape.
Petra Bidar, part of their coaching staff. Good to see that encouragement from him to Deborah Anna.
Yeah, it's such a big part of the coach's job is to help them through the doubts in their minds, either before and sometimes after the program, and, you know, get them settled down. Then you can start to, you know, break it apart and find out, okay, what can we do, but what do we need to do from here on in?
And you can see that we're probably reliving. Obviously, this skate is so desperate. I mean, even when you think about the commitment, like just to her hair, to her makeup, so much of this event has been pre-considered, pre-planned, prepared. The costuming, the choreography, everything gears up to this. Even, you know, the nails. Like, I know that sounds ridiculous and farcical, but it just gives us a visual representation of, you know, some thought about how much conscientiousness has gone to preparing to compete and represent the Czech Republic at the Junior Grand Prix. Of which Czechia, on their jacket, they're proud to showcase.
Yeah. Yeah, there is a lot of detail that people never think of, that we're just watching the skating as show up. But I mean, the work that goes into off-ice preparation in regards to costuming, travel arrangements,
and
training.
Yeah, it's funny because I'm a bit reluctant to mention costume because I think that can be subjective, but it's not necessarily whether we like it or not, but they've had to think about it, they've had to design it, they've had to pay for it.
That's your point. 41.30, that'll put Deborah and Lukas into 5th place. Well, our next team represents the United States of America. Regan Moss, born in Scottsdale, Arizona, and Jacob Galbavy, born in Bratislava, Slovak Republic, coached by Trudy Ottmans. And they'll skate the short program here to You're the Reason.
Do you know, possibly the best part about all of that was that little stumble mistake, silly little mistake at the sensitive time in the music, and they're both laughing about it. I love that.
That's cool.
That to me.
I mean, that's not choreographed like
No,
that.
not
but
at
the
all.
reaction is good.
And the judges will have to have, consequence on the presentation component, but that shows what they're like as humans. And actually, the word that I was thinking
Look
when
at
I was
them coming
watching
off the ice here. It's hilarious. That's great.
That
Sorry.
is great. And the word that I was thinking when I was watching them perform was honest. They had a very honest presentation.
Good word.
And they've got a very honest reaction to that.
Good word. And it's, a little rusty yet, and that's okay. That's what we saw. But they have this joy for it, the sport, and for this discipline. Here's the double axles. Just had to do a 3-turn for Jacob. There's the twist, triple twist that is in at a level 1, though triple Salchow. Great save on her part.
Yes. And it did seem, as we've seen him going into the mandatory Group 4 lift, did seem a little tight. And that's understandable. He started pairs just a year ago. I love this, though, the transitional exit.
Yeah, nice.
From the Group 4 lift. And the chance to just see the reaction to that. And I know the judging panel can't reward that, but to me as a parent or a fan of sport, I love the honesty.
It's not what that type of honesty does for the judges, it's what that type of honesty does for themselves. So they keep things in perspective and continue to grow and love what they're doing even on a bad day.
Because we've seen other teams that maybe are too intense and would get frustrated and angry with that. Nobody wants to go out and make mistakes. So good that they have.
No, and if you get too negative on those mistakes, it starts to eat you up. Not that you should ignore it.
No.
You shouldn't, but you got to put it in perspective. Let's take a look at the short program scores. There it is, 47.68 for Regan, and Jakob puts them currently into 3rd place. They look pretty pleased with that.
And certainly a team capable of much more. We saw that in the domestic events earlier in the year, and I think that the free skate will showcase that too.
Our next team represents Germany. Caitlin Jan Saletsky and Lukas Rossaller, 19, 22 years of age. Currently ranked 2nd in senior in Germany. And they're coached by Nolan Siegert. 36.66 personal best back in 2022 on the Junior Grand Prix. And they're going to skate to painted black.
Katalin Jana Salatsky and Lukas Rosseler from Germany, one of 4 teams in this competition that are showcasing the change in age restrictions. We're gearing up to do seniors, and then when the age restrictions changed, they've returned to junior events as well, just to amass more experience and more opportunity.
And what are your thoughts on the age change?
I think it's just a great support for this pairs discipline, and I think that the International Skating Union and all that love the sport of figure skating will adopt and embrace any opportunity to enhance the sport and participation in the sport in what is an incredibly difficult discipline. And so eking out longer time for the skaters to amass more experience, all the better.
So it was well thought out that way. There's the double axels. They get it done. And here is a look at the double twist. Simple but well done in at a level 2. The throw triple sacco, nice and quick, solid landing, great checkout, punching that free leg back. The group 4 lift hand to hand, good pickup around the end of the rink. Change of position. This is really hard because the woman changes the weight balance. The man has to be very prepared for that, and if it's really rough, it can really affect his turns. He did a great job keeping the flow going through that lift.
And actually the final element, the step sequence, to me, probably the easiest of the elements, but perhaps the weakest for this team in regards to that skating skill. Something that every team pursues and aspires to increase and improve event upon event. We've got fans. And coach Nolan Siegert, some of the skating fans will know, coach from competing at Olympic level in pair skating with Minerva Haza, who's now returned to competition with a new partner. He now passing on his wisdom, experience, and education to the next generation of German juniors and senior pair teams.
Again, in the Kiss and Cry, I really like the interaction that's going on, discussing some of the items, but also keeping a positive, might be too strong of a word, but keeping sort of things balanced, and that's so important. Let's take a look at the scores for the short program for Caitlin and Luca. .66 is their personal best in the short program, and I think you're going to see a score higher than that as this team continues to gain experience. Yeah, right there, 45.60. That'll put them in 6th place. That is an upgrade on their scores in the short program. The final team in this competition, representing China, Jiawan Zhang and Hiyang Yuang, 17 and 22 years of age. This is a new partnership, their first ISU event together. The coach by Yang Ding and choreographed by Weijing Shui. Skating to Dive by Ed Sheeran.
So many thoughts on the performance of Zhijuan Zhang and Yihang Huang from China. And my first thought, though, is just that I hope that she is okay, because I thought I heard a pickup on the audio there of her in pain after that big fall and what was a huge throw.
It was a huge throw, that's for sure. I didn't pick up on that audio, but of course I'm deaf. So, no, the thing is that this team actually has a connection between the two, and you see shades of. You can see that the development of the skating skills and the choreography is in the mode of what some of the top Chinese teams have had in the past. We haven't had even to a certain degree. But they're still early on and still very young. But there's some really good elements in here. I don't mean technical elements, good aspects of their skating.
And I think that you can see the influence of Wei Jingshui, their choreographer, the Olympic reigning champion. I think you can see that in the choreography and the deftness of touch. And if I think about the history and my understanding of what their choreographer had, they had Laurie Nickel, so immeasurably integral to their success. And I know how long Laurie Nickel would spend on just an arm movement, and you can see that attention to detail in the composition. What this team doesn't at present have is the fundamental skating skill development that was embedded in Zhu Zhan and Hongbo Zhao and Pang and Tong and some of the greatest of the Chinese dynasty of pair skaters.
But 17 and 22, and perhaps they're relatively new. I look at their bio here. I don't see any international experience. Now, maybe the bio is not correct. I don't know. But we don't see a lot of international competitions. And yet this is still a very good standard, even with the mistakes, a very good standard without a lot of experience. When that experience starts to come into play, we saw beautiful double axles there, great flow out. Huge throw here.
And that had, painful as it was looking, that had the similarities in technique that we have seen from so many Chinese pair teams.
Exactly. Great lift, good pickup, and nice ice coverage on those turns. We see just the end of the program right here. A little sensitivity, really nice detail with the arms and the hands going towards the judges. Again, I see a lot of raw, I want to say refined rawness.
You know
what I'm saying?
I know what you mean. In terms of the movement, the actual quality of body alignment, I think, is the where the development could be. But the emotional sensitivity appeared. Emotional musical sensitivity.
I'm not sure what the scores are going to be, but this team, when they get a little tighter together and have all the elements, which are beautiful elements, just had a mistake in the throw, triple Salchow. This team is going to be a contender for the final, perhaps in the Junior Grand Prix. And no, it's really good.
And again, as I've mentioned previously, apologies if I'm boring people with the repetition of it, but this one of the four teams who are exploiting that age change, and Yihang Huang at 22 years old is the oldest competitor that we have seen of all those participating in Riga and benefiting from it.
But totally, because he needs to get that experience with this partner now at the junior level before you move into senior, because that's a completely different level. And but they're already getting the basics. You can see the bases are under development, are under construction to become really strong seniors as well in time.
And when we've discussed, why the rationale behind that age change may be, because for senior events, the four continents for this team, the World Championships, there are minimum technical element scores. And if a team is forced to move up prematurely, then they may be so adrift of those tech scores that they get despondent. Whereas in the juniors, there is not a minimum required score to compete in a junior Grand Prix, so they can amass the experience that will be crucial later in their career.
Well, you can see our coach working with this young woman and just, keeping her. You never know, we wouldn't know, but the coaches know what is in the athlete's head, whether they're overthinking, whether they're taking things too casual or whatever. So the coach's work is not in teaching a skill. The coach's work is in helping a person grow, and that is you have to listen a lot, and you have to read it a lot, and then you have to say a little, but it has to be effective.
And when we have looked at this first day of competition on this first Junior Grand Prix of the 2024 season, we've obviously seen lots of skaters, lots of different skating nations. We can almost tell from the coaches, the style of coach that we're seeing.
It's true.
And just their reactions, their body language, their energy to their students post-performance.
Yeah.
Some of which very stoic, very hardened. Perhaps they're just totally fixated upon the the points and the results. Some of them.
And with the changing, with how the world has changed, and word choice is very important, obviously, in how we handle our young people and how we handle our coaching, that you need to establish what are the types of phrases and words that resonate with the athlete, and how do you deliver that in the type of tone that you need to perhaps communicate urgency, but also it's okay, type of thing. So it is better, but at times more complicated for people that would coach based on emotion, based on, communication skills. And it's the same thing in school, of course.
And I think while we're watching this junior event, we've discussed the Shape Hearts campaign and the acknowledgement of the fact that words can be very cutting and very intense, and I think that is never more relevant than with teenagers.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, even like for me, I had glorious, gorgeous coaches who were so supportive and kind, but I remember I could take things even out of context as a teenager and be really sensitive to what the coach would say, and so that's why the coaches really do have to be very much on guard.
I'm happy to know, at least do I know, that you don't take my comments towards you with, you don't go home and cry or anything, do you?
Well,
yeah, no. No.
Toughened up a little.
Yeah, sense of humor and keeping your feet grounded, it's so important. And that's the type of thing you want to teach these young skaters, is that this is great. It's skating and chase your dreams and go for it all, but it's not your full life. It's just part of it. Yeah. It's a great part. Okay. So we're having another little glitch or bit of time in getting the scores in. I can see that on the panel. They're working at it. 2 out of the 10 judges have got all the scores in. There must be something up. We'll report to that if we find out, but that's okay.
Currently, it's North American stranglehold of the podium places in this pairs event, and that was a recurring theme a little bit last season as well. So Jasmine De Rocher and Kieran Thrasher lead the field with 55.41. Howell, Zhang and Huang fare in comparison to the likes of that score, and then beat Olivia Flores and Luke Wang, who lie in second place, just a point.
Yeah, and that's going to be an interesting battle because, and we saw this last year as well, that was relatively tight in the top 3 or 4 in those pairs, and things did change significantly. And then when we got to the Grand Prix final, Junior Grand Prix final, it changed again, which is really good. This is really healthy because they push each other, and you don't know what's going to happen, and the pressure's on. And the sooner that you can learn how to handle pressure, to deal with it, and use it to your advantage, the better. And that can happen here in the juniors before you enter the seniors. Let's take a look at the scores for the short program. 54.21, that's going to put them in 3rd place. So North America doesn't have the full stranglehold of you jinxed it. There you go, and there's a look at the top 5 teams.
Close for the
event, very close, 55, 54, 54, and that's what I talked about. Now, what's going to happen? Anything can happen. So we'll take a look at the final standings in the Paris short program. Up next will be the men's short program. How many skaters do we have that?
In the men's event, we have 27, I believe, from 23 different skating nations, but I'll double check for you.
Okay, good. There's a look at the standings so far, as we talked about, really tight in the top. It's going to be very interesting. But a good group, even though it's early on in the season and there's some development going along and some areas to be worked on, but it's a pretty good standard first week out.
Yeah, really pleased with what we're seeing in the pairs development and looking forward to seeing how that continues in the free skate and in the 6 remaining Junior Grand Prix.
Okay, that concludes our coverage of the Paris short program. Up next, the men's short from Riga, week 1, day 1 of competition in the ISU Junior Grand Prix. Stay with us. We'll be back.